was late December 1964. Recent snowfalls no longer in evidence. Though, as expected, cold weather persisted. Schools were now closed, soon to be followed by the factories, shops and other businesses. One little boy felt induced with excitement as he played games quietly. His younger sister was also in the room. The excitement increasingly foretold that the much anticipated Christmas Day was almost upon us. The quiet of the two young children was only interrupted by the crackle of a traditional, inviting coal fire. The yellow flames shimmering as they burned brightly. To prevent any accidents, a brass-coloured metal fire guard was placed in front of the fire. The boy often gazed mesmerised by the beauty of the flames that would add certain warmth to an otherwise cold environment. The children's mother was loving but also very strict, applying both house rules and lessons in life. As was largely the case in those days, she was a full-time housewife. Down the back garden, after unmounting his bicycle, came the youngster's father, attired in his usual cap, jacket and cycle clips on his trousers. The boy raced into the kitchen to lovingly greet him. He wasn't strict like his wife, merely laughing sometimes at the boy's mischievous antics. This was a time when the man was considered the head of the household, generally working to provide for his family. Although it wasn't unknown for the wife to find employment, it was more likely for her to stay home, placing her efforts into raising the children. Back to the story. Oh, do forgive me. The name of the boy is John. His sister is Elizabeth. His mom is also Elizabeth. And the father is George. When George arrived home from work in the early evening, his dutiful wife would be busy preparing the family dinner, which all of them would eat, all sat around the table. George, being a big-built man, enjoyed his food. He kept the front and back gardens very tidy, and also had a compost heap to assist in growing various vegetables. He meticulously painted and decorated the house when needed. Some of the house fixtures were made by his own hands, being a skilled carpenter and joiner, just as Jesus was reputed to be. Cups of tea were ritually drank after dinner by the parents. The countdown to Christmas would also be signified by a GC made box in the corner near the table. That was television, which, aside from broadcasting only 2 channels in black and white, often needed a forceful palm strike on its top to prevent the picture from flickering in an up and down motion. An advent calendar graced the wall above the television. In the back room were Christmas cards hung further along, neatly placed on seasonal string. In the front room, more Christmas cards adorned 2 facing walls, and various neighbours and strangers could be seen walking past, delivering cards. It was, in the main, a friendly neighbourhood. Little John, although distracted by movement outside, focused more on the large, real pine Christmas tree stood on a small but adequate table in front of the window, shedding its nettles on the carpet. Darkness arrived early to extend the evening period. John would marvel at the colourful tree lights illuminating an otherwise darkened front room. Often he'd enter the room just to experience an ambience of calm and solitude. Generally it was quieter than the back room, aside from also containing a cosy feel of a small settee and 2 matching armchairs, with a coal fire also, as the back room boasted. However, single glazed windows, all too prevalent then, meant condensation plus pools of unwanted water building up on the windowsills. John sometimes watched his mother anxiously place towels against the skirting boards to prevent the carpet from ruination due to excessive pools of water flowing down from the windowsills. Winters in the 1960s spelt danger. It was customary to not only succumb to heavy snowfalls, then the aftermath of slippery slush, but even worse, treacherous black ice transforming walkways into areas of concern, cautiously measuring each footstep. Now that the local factories situated across the road had ceased work for the festive season, both silence and a notable absence of daily workers very much highlighted the time of year. Meanwhile, little John and his young sister played happily in either the back or more enticing front room. "Don't touch anything and don't break anything," was the stern directive issued by their mother, concerned for the state of her treasured ornaments as well as the furniture. Occasionally ornaments were damaged, leading to a wary John protesting his innocence, instead blaming his 3-year-old sister as they both cried in fear of being hit. Not long after Christmas, John was due to celebrate his 5th birthday. Both events being so close had an effect on what he received for his birthday. Much to his disappointment, his mother's words to friends and relatives were, "You shouldn't spend so much on his birthday," coming so close after the expense that Christmas incurred. George had previously pulled shallots and beetroot from the spacious back garden before the winter season had begun. For several weeks these shallots had been stored in reused jam jars and preserved in table salt before being subject to vinegar filling the jars. The end process were very tasty brown pickled onions. They remained until ready in the kitchen, which was the cold, narrow part of the house. A tall cupboard by the back door facilitated the family food supply. It was commonly termed the pantry. Next to the pantry, a cupboard held smaller consumables. Next to that, an oven. Then opposite, a mangle in which water had to be poured in to wash dirty linen, with a sink next to that. Just 2 days until the big event. Some of John's relations attended church to show their acknowledgement of the story of the birth of Jesus. That, however, wasn't vigorously imposed upon him. His parents allowed him the freedom to make certain personal choices. The time wasn't passing quickly enough. Had the clock stopped? It certainly felt like it. "Behave or Father Christmas won't come," said his mother defiantly, shocking him into obedience. Early evenings spent viewing intermittent images on a barely reliable television was followed by an early trek upstairs to bed. Early to bed, early to rise seemed the motto. Sometimes cornflakes in milk would be placed upon the table for breakfast. This time of year, a much needed hot bowl of porridge oats made with milk, then sweetened with a sprinkling of sugar. John was positively bursting with excitement. It was Christmas Eve. Nothing could erase the enormous joy circulating throughout his entire body. "Clean your teeth and wash your face, then put your smart clothes on," said his mother. "Now remember, be a good boy or Father Christmas won't come tonight." "Yes, Mum." There was no probability he'd misbehave under those circumstances. Outside, the street mirrored the typical Sundays, where the active nature of the working week became replaced by a welcome, sedate, quiet change in life. As the afternoon minutes pleasingly passed, John's mom cooked the family meal as usual. By now, minds of people everywhere harboured various personal reasons to celebrate the day ahead. A last chance for the youngsters to watch television. John had entered the front room earlier and picked up carefully wrapped presents laid beneath the Christmas tree. He attempted to guess what was concealed inside. Their mother placed a bowl of warm water in front of the backroom fire, washing his sister, then John, instructing the pair to put on their nightwear. Up the wooden hill was the mantra as the children bid good night. Two stair gates slotted between the wall and banister prevented possible accidents at the bottom and top. George gave his little ones a white pillowcase that was to be placed in front of the bed, and one of his socks that his children hung on their bedroom doorknobs. Their mom had left mince pies and a glass of spirits for Santa Claus near the fire. Assurances given that Santa wouldn't get burnt, all stuck in the chimney. Upstairs was cold due to insufficient heating, so John and his sister were provided with hot water bottles, which gave desired warmth. One question remained. Would John and sister Elizabeth sleep well enough not to be disturbed by a large visitor dressed in red, sporting a white beard?
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Early next morning, both parents woke their son and daughter. Merry Christmas could be finally said. Joy emanated from simply speaking those words. Look what I've got, enthused John ecstatically. In his bedroom. What have you got there then? Enquired his beaming father, as the little one tried unsuccessfully to carry his pillowcase, now absolutely packed with presents. His father kindly volunteered to transport them downstairs. John wasn't so interested in the sock on his doorknob, which had also been filled to the rim with small goodies. So his father reminded him to bring it downstairs. The bulky pillowcases belonging to the siblings adjoined several other colourful, neatly wrapped gifts surrounding and underneath the Christmas tree, displaying enchanting lights with chocolate, pennies and Santas on its branches, shimmering tinsel caressing it, and a fairy strategically positioned at the top. "Can we open our presents now?" inquired John. "No, have your breakfast first. Then get dressed and brush your teeth," replied his mum. The wait would only add to the suspense and sheer excitement of entering the alluring, festive front room, absorbed in joy that would be only replicated on one truly memorable day each year. The children's eyes wide in anticipation of frantically tearing off the decorative seasonal white, green and red thoughtfully wrapped paper, plus the alternative gold, purple, pink and silver coverings. Some, though not unpleasant, emitted an odour that acted as a timely reminder of this, the most wonderful occasion ever known to the world. By now, crumpled paper covered much of the carpet. "You're throwing your labels away," George prompted his son, who was oblivious to some of the gift bearers' identities. The occasional stranger or neighbour came into view on an otherwise deserted street. "I know what that is. Socks, a hat, gloves, hankies," John announced, squeezing lighter items. "Thank you very much," George and Elizabeth, his wife, in appreciation of any gift they received. John and his sister each acquired a mountain of over 30 presents. The large items attracted his interest. One very large package intrigued him. "Not that one, leave that one till last," urged his father knowingly. "You're very lucky," said the children's mother. "We were fortunate if we got anything. Some children don't get any Christmas presents." John installed his mother's words. "Christmas is too commercial," she lamented. "Now, what is this last selection?" "Careful how you open it," advised his father. "Are you happy with that? Who's a lucky lad?" He was. His parents had made his day magical and forever memorable. As the last bulky shape was revealed, a very professional model toy garage. Hours of fun guaranteed playing with this. Though as it transpired, hours of craftsmanship were spent making it by his very own father. Yet more festive offerings exchanged with neighbours then brought that particular activity to a close, as some wrapping became salvaged to be used another time. 4 people, elevated by this special day, sat at the table, thankful for the food which Elizabeth had enduringly prepared. Dinner wine and a tot of whisky in their hot tea washed down George and Elizabeth's filling meal, whilst John and Elizabeth enjoyed a lemonade. "Oh, go on then, just a drop," said John's father as his son eyed the dinner wine. Feeling a little giddy, but seduced by his first taste of alcohol. Watching the offerings on the television was a chore, having to either fiddle with the tuning knob or periodically slap the top to prevent the picture from rolling vertically. Escapism came in the sanctuary of the front room, with contentment of playing with toys, followed by the indulgence of enticing peanuts stored in a metal tin, sweet orange and lemon slices processed with sugar, and a more arduous task of using metal nutcrackers obtaining walnuts. Peanuts in shells were far easier to prize out, but devouring excessive amounts caused stomachache. As the afternoon stretched towards evening, the room light was now redundant, replaced by the adorable little bulbs on the Christmas tree, illuminating all around. "Have you had a good day?" Mom asked the children. "Yes," came the joyful reply. The most exhilarating day of the year was over. Boxing Day had its own unique attraction. Playing in the front room, John unfortunately was too close to the door. As the door opened, his father couldn't avoid the garage he had lovingly made and broke a part of it as he tried to step over. "Do you have to play with that near the door?" A rare outburst from his dad. I guess seeing his own creation damaged so soon deflated him. Everything had been perfect until now. Alas, life isn't perfect. Tempting Turkish delight. More of those tasty salted peanuts. Dates and various flavour-filled chocolates from a box tin or removed from the tree, voraciously consumed. Well, it only happened once a year. Homegrown pickled onions complemented pickled cabbage, soft cheese slices, Ritz crackers and sage stuffing as the evening meal. "All over for another year," declared Mom. "Christmas goes too fast," amused John. As he trundled off to bed feeling pensive, John's trait was that he'd always be that 4-year-old boy. When he awoke, it seemed he had catapulted into a future time. His surroundings were different. There was nobody around. Unaware of the date until a distant voice chirped, "Merry Christmas." Really? Sitting as though engulfed in a foggy haze, drifting lazily along a dark tunnel to be attracted by a bulky shape of illuminating gold. On top a gold bow magically untied itself just as the gold layers peeled away by themselves. Was he dreaming or hallucinating? Images then appeared inside the gold, luminous package. Familiar walls with Christmas cards hanging on them. A Christmas tree of pine, beautifully decorated. A wonderful toy garage, and his parents smiling lovingly at him, then slowly fading, enshrined forever in memory.